The Cincinnati Reds most certainly do not have the best track record with owners. Marge Schott existed, which is of course bad enough on its own for so many different reasons, but the ownership group today, although not necessarily as hateful and evil as Schott was, is still not great. The Castellinis. Bob Castellini became CEO and majority owner of the Reds franchise back in 2006, and when buying the team, told Reds fans what they wanted to hear, telling them that he and his group are buying the Reds to win and that anything else would be unacceptable. Well, since those words left Bob's mouth, the Cincinnati Reds have been at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to good baseball teams, having the 22nd most wins during his ownership up until this point. The Reds have had some good and exciting teams over the years, but it hasn't lasted for too long, and after what seemed like a promising 2021 season that showed more playoff potential after 2020, Castellini decided to go ahead and do a fire sale. It took place after the MLB lockout before the 2022 season, when a ton of players were traded while also letting Nicholas Castellanos walk in free agency. And according to Castellanos himself, after opting out of his Reds contract, the team didn't even bother to call him. At this point, the fans seem to have had enough, with some going as far as to protest the ownership outside of Great American Ballpark, with many others voicing their displeasure on the internet with how bad they want Castellini to sell the team. Bob isn't well liked in Cincinnati right now, and neither is his son, Phil Castellini, who has been the team's chief operating officer since 2007. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Over 70% of my watch time has been from people who aren't subscribed, so hit that button along with the bell for post notifications. I personally didn't even know who any of the Castellinis were or who owned the team prior to 2022, and then the fire sale happened, which was followed by one of the most appalling things an owner can do: threaten his own fans. Heading into opening day of 2022, the Reds just did not have the best vibes around them. Most of their star talent was traded, the fans were turning on the ownership, the vibes were just not great, only to get even worse because Phil Castellini decided to go on the radio and say this.
Well, where are you going to go? Let's start there. I mean, sell the team to who? I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, you want to have this debate. You know, if you want to look at what would you do with this team to have it be more profitable, make more money, compete more in the current economic system that this game exists, it would be to pick it up and move it somewhere else. Yeah. And so be careful what you ask for.
Followed by this.
I don't want to put you in a tough spot here, but some comments from earlier this morning on the radio are making their rounds on social media. I was just going to try to give you a platform to respond to kind of what you said earlier today, because I think some fans are taking it the wrong way, possibly, or feeling like they're rubbed the wrong way.
Okay, what you have to be more specific.
Just saying that, you know, what else are they going to do?
Well, the answer is, are you going to abandon being a Reds fan? Are you going to abandon following this team? We haven't abandoned it. We haven't abandoned investing in the team and the community. So the point is, how about everybody just settle down and celebrate and cheer for the team? You can hate on us all you want. We're not going anywhere. We haven't abandoned our commitment to winning and investing in this franchise and in this community. So the point is, stay tuned and be a fan. Celebrate these guys and look what they did in Atlanta and come out here and celebrate that today. So whatever the message was heard, what I mean is, stay loyal to your team and the players that give you 110% effort every day.
That second video just pisses me off. There's something about him that just doesn't seem right. He seems fake. Phil Castellini in this video seems like he doesn't actually care about the Reds or their fans, is just in it for the profit, but is like, look at me, I'm wearing a red suit while also holding a baseball. Get it? The Reds. So I'm wearing red and I'm holding onto a baseball. I care, and I'm totally not just giving up on this team. Anyway, to go out and say some of what he said, like, be careful what you wish for, implying that the best case scenario would maybe be to quote unquote pick it up and move it somewhere else, aka move the team entirely. He did go on to apologize later that day, saying, quote, I apologize to Reds fans and regret the comments that I made today. We love this city, we love this team, and we love our fans. I understand how our fans feel, and I am sorry. End quote.
I think if you've watched any spring training games, this is a good, entertaining team, and I think you'll see that play out on opening day and throughout the season. So have a little bit of faith in what we're doing with your Cincinnati Reds.
The Reds went on to have a horrendous 2022 season, losing 100 games and finishing in 4th place. They were really bad. And as far as Castellini asking the fans where they're going to go, basically telling them to shut up and support the team no matter what and like it? Well, I'll tell you where they're going to go, not the ballpark. In 2022, the Reds had the lowest attendance total in the 19-year history of Great American Ballpark and the lowest overall since 1984. He also hasn't gotten much better when it comes to what he chooses to say to the public. Just recently, Castellini spoke to a Red supporters club and said some things that just continue to make him look even worse, such as the ownership group running the team like a nonprofit, calling baseball an industry in crisis, among other things. Tracy Johnson, who is a season ticket holder and member of the Red supporters club that Castellini was speaking to, said this, quote, "He did open up that talk asserting that the Reds were a non-profit organization. I've worked for charitable organizations and I was appalled, to say the least. It went down from there. He was very much trying to really back up, hey, we're trying and the system is fixed against us," end quote. Castellini then complained about guaranteed contracts that are in baseball, saying, "Is anyone here paid to not do their job?" As far as how he felt the Reds would do in 2023 and what their goals were as an organization, his answer was progress.
We were thinking about what kind of one word could you use to summarize what our expectations for 23 are. And progress is the word that I came up with.
Shut the hell up, Joe, shut up!
Castellini then said something, according to Tracy Johnson, that to me is probably the craziest and most outlandish thing he's ever said or quote-unquote joked about, outwardly saying that future Reds players will be lost by the team and become ex-Reds. What he did was celebrate the team's minor league system and mention how the team had some promising prospects who could make a big impact for the Reds one day, going on to then joke that they'll be ex-Reds because quote-unquote, of course we're going to lose them. I mean, that's better than him lying and misleading the fans into thinking they'd start being able to keep their favorite players in town. But one would hope that the Reds would want to start finding ways to build a sustained competitor with a good core of players, not afraid to pay them. But they are afraid to pay them. They're afraid to pay really anybody. The biggest contract they've ever given out was an extension to Joey Votto back in 2012 for $225 million over 12 years. That's of course a lot of money, but they haven't even come close to that since, especially when it comes to free agent signings. Nick Castellanos and Mike Moustakas have the largest free agent contracts in franchise history, both signing 4-year, $64 million contracts. That is the most money ever given out by the Reds in free agency. Shortly after this whole fiasco of a TED Talk for Castellini, Karen Forgas, the Reds senior vice president of business operations, declined to comment, and so did Major League Baseball. The scariest part about Phil Castellini and his father is that they're not alone. There are other owners just like them, maybe even worse, across baseball, which really makes you appreciate the guys like Steve Cohen and owners who go all in that much more. The Reds are headed toward yet another nightmare of a season, and it doesn't look like Phil is going to do much to change that other than piss off his own team's fans. Be careful what you wish for, stop complaining or the team you love could be moved, shut up and support the Reds. We run this organization like a nonprofit. We're obviously going to eventually lose our great players. I mean, just wow. Phil Castellini is just cruel.